SpongeBob SquarePants, do I really have to introduce him? I think everybody and their grandma knows who this yellow squared piece of cheese is. He is the neighbor to his best friend Patrick Star and his work buddy Squidward. Together they work at a fast food chain selling the Krabby Patties, protecting its secret formula. He also lives in a pineapple under the sea with his pet snail Gary. With the only thing me and him have in common is being unable to do our driver's license and a very annoying high-pitched voice. But for the kids that weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob for some reason, SpongeBob is a character created by marine biologist Steven Hillenburg. In the end, it became a cartoon produced by Nickelodeon. Almost 30 years later, and SpongeBob is still alive and kicking, going into his 15th season and 5th movie. The first movie back in 2004 was a love letter and goodbye to the character by creator Steven Hillenburg. He wanted to end his cooperation with Nickelodeon, leaving his spongy friend behind, which, in my opinion, was a mistake. Nick continued to milk the yellow boy like Mr. Krabs did the jellyfishes in that one episode. Or SpongeBob, he also milked him once. Up to a point where we have a bunch of reboots made conventionally after the creator, strictly against reboots, died. My name is Skull, I do not have an intro, and SpongeBob was a big part of my childhood and a lot of people's childhood probably. Except for those poor souls that were never allowed to watch SpongeBob because, I don't know, like and subscribe to pay respect to those kids. In this video I want to take a look at what Netflix made out of the IP and if it is worth its while.
Introducing new SpongeBob SquarePants cheese nips.
I don't know what I should say about this 5-year-old movie other than I am disappointed. And I have to say it aged like orange juice that I left out for too long. This is a SpongeBob reference. Back in the day I was hopeful that this movie was good so far that I wanted to watch it in theater, but thankfully God gave us a deadly virus making a widespread theater release impossible. I rewatched it for this video and as I already mentioned, it got worse. The entire movie follows Plankton selling Gary to Poseidon to get SpongeBob out of the Krusty Krab, so he can steal the secret formula. Now, why did we switch from Greek mythology for this movie? Just asking. Probably because continuity is a big word the creators of these movies don't understand. Now, after Gary gets kidnapped, SpongeBob and Patrick go on a road trip to Atlantis City. This is pretty much the same as in the 2004 movie, only difference is that saving Gary doesn't seem to be their focus most of the time. The main focus of the 2004 movie is that everybody tells SpongeBob and Patrick that they're too childish to help, but they prove themselves to be worthy of the Mishnah and save everybody, which is the literal opposite of this movie. Even the mentor, being Keanu Reeves in a bush, makes a big fuss about SpongeBob and Patrick being unworthy and stupid, getting distracted by every single thing that comes into their way. By the way, Keanu Reeves, the movie also has this one segment where a bunch of random cameos happen. This entire scene doesn't fit in the movie, doesn't make any sense, and goes on for way too long. I think they wanted to do like one of those random equals funny jokes. Now, to also defend the incapability of SpongeBob and Patrick, Keanu isn't really a good mentor figure. He just gives them like a few cryptic messages and then is like, do that. One of the biggest parts of this movie is that Keanu just gives SpongeBob a coin, which is supposed to be important, and then he says, oh no, it was just a metaphor. A metaphor for what, Keanu? Spending money at the casino? They did that all night and then you were mad that they spend all their money at the casino. I don't understand why everybody likes to remind me that Keanu was in this movie, because Keanu in this movie is awful. This feels like if somebody flexed about being a background dancer for Lizzo. By the way, Lizzo, she's also in the movie during the execution trial. Now, when SpongeBob finally manages to get to Gary, accusing Poseidon of stealing the snail, he gets sentenced to death. This, everybody, usually is the scene where the main character turns something around in their life and then, boom, they actually are the hero of the story. But not in this movie, because in this movie, all of his friends, including Plankton for some reason, come to save SpongeBob by playing a 30-minute unskippable ad. Yeah, that's the real plot twist. We've been watching an advertisement the entire time for this shitty show. This feels like if I was about to be sentenced to 18 years in prison for identity fraud and my lawyer starts yapping about Surfshark VPN. Yeah, no, this movie isn't good. I mean, the entire movie is spent showing SpongeBob being immature and reckless. just for a bunch of people to come out and say, yeah, but he shared a Snicker bar with me when we were 5. It all ends with SpongeBob getting Gary back and Poseidon becoming ugly, because why try looking okay when you can just look like a corpse? Am I right, King Charles III?
Για να δούμε πώς είναι μέχρι τώρα. Να!
On the trend of making bad CGI movies surrounding a side character, we have the Sandy Cheeks movie. The movie starts with a song and somebody stealing Bikini Bottom. Now this movie had a bit of a budget cut, couldn't find the exact numbers, but the animation looks awful, even worse than in the last movie. Back to the plot, Bikini Bottom is stolen by the company that employs Sandy, and now SpongeBob and Sandy have to save everybody before they get turned into marketable plushies by a woman with a fish fetish. Main focus of this movie once again is 2 characters going on a road trip to get something back, interacting with real life humans at some point of the movie, which seems to be the main formula for these movies. We are going 4 for 4. Now SpongeBob in this movie is more or less a soundboard that is pressed to remind you whose franchise this is from time to time. The main focus here lays on Sandy and her family of circus people. The entire movie is spent trying to show that Sandy and her family don't really have a great relationship, but every time they try to do something awkward and try to lead to a fight, they just show that those guys have the most healthy relationship there is. The only issue is that they just don't see each other that often. So yeah, what's next? Like a tornado thing? They chased by the police. Sandy and SpongeBob are alone again, and there you go. We meet the fish fetish woman again. SpongeBob and Sandy are back at the fish fetish facility where SpongeBob is about to be killed and turned into a bunch of marketable plushies. Something happens though, and the fish fetish lady is defeated, and Sandy's family comes back to help them get Bikini Bottom under the sea again. Under the sea, the Cheeks family is now performing their circus routine at the Krusty Krab.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting about him.
Best part of the movie is a side plot that Eugene Krabs has while being in this bubble thing, which was pretty cool to see him like navigate and help out the entire city and being like a guiding force here. But when the best part about the entire movie, focusing on Sandy Cheeks, is the old grumpy Scrooge McDuck character, you did something wrong.
This Halloween, you can win a party with some of your favorite Nickelodeon characters and Nabisco snacks if you enter the Nabisco Nick or Treat sweepstakes. For free entry, send self-addressed stamped envelope here or look for specially marked Nabisco packages.
Now, after the last 2 movies about a duo going for an adventure to find a stolen thing and bring it back, guess what this movie is about? Correct! This movie is about the effect of domestic abuse and being a better partner to your underappreciated wife. This movie, not gonna lie, is the best of the 3, which isn't hard and doesn't say anything. It's kinda like having to choose between having long-term COVID, rabies, and the common flu. All 3 are unpleasant, but one is significantly less bad. The movie follows Plankton after another animated downgrade. Who the fuck animates these? Skybound Studios? The entire movie follows Karen, who is finally sick of Plankton's 20-year venture of failure. After he destroys the by Karen upgraded chum bucket, Karen becomes Ghidorah, attacking Bikini Bottom and using its houses to build a giant robot. In the meantime, SpongeBob becomes Sigmund Freud, giving Plankton therapy. They use those sessions to go back in time, giving us some nice 2D animated segments, which actually look a lot better than the shitty CGI. Now, SpongeBob's end goal with the therapy was to make Plankton see his error and apologize to his wife. On the other hand, Plankton just wanted to get Karen 1.0 parts, aka a calculator, to build himself a new wife to kill his old wife. This doesn't work though, with him just building another head for the Karen Hydra. Now the girl squad, Karen's friends, consisting of Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and Perla, aka the only other female characters that were introduced in 30 years of SpongeBob, come along to save SpongeBob and Plankton. They question Plankton and what happened to their friend, which is when he confesses that Karen removed one of her personality chips, the one feeling empathy, to be able to go on a rampage. For Plankton to see his error, Sandy gives him this empathy chip, turning him into another SpongeBob thanks to an emotional overload, giving us a cool 2D animated scene. The six then form an alliance to get into Karen's giant robot and stop her. Now in the end, Plankton and Karen get back together and everyone forgives them for destroying the city because true love. Now the movie was okay. It has a bit of an aftertaste as Karen from the get-go already was like, yeah, probably gonna go back to this abusive relationship. The story is unique enough and the characters are well used, aka aren't distracted by everything while trying to do the most simple task. I would have done a I might excuse racism joke here with the abuse, but one of my videos was just taken down for suspected terrorism, so I will try and play it safe here. The other thing that bugged me in this movie, changing the lore behind how Plankton got aware of the secret formula. In the movie, his motivation to steal the formula was an unnamed fish randomly telling crabs that Krabby Patties might take over the planet one day. That's it. None of the other bullshit the show has about Eugene and Sheldon being ex-best friends who then, thanks to the formula, became grumpy old men that hate each other. No, because this dramatic backstory of another relationship destroyed by Plankton's ego is uninteresting. People much rather want to see Plankton going to college, because this one-liner he says from time to time is more important to his character than his friendship to Eugene Krabs. Also, what I forgot to mention, this movie is a musical, because of course it is.
The night is ours.
To conclude this entire thing, the new SpongeBob trilogy, about to be quadrilogy, is this a word? It's not worth your time. Well, except of maybe the Plankton movie. Because every single one of these movies is just a cash grab and you can feel it. The animation isn't there, the story isn't there, the characters aren't there, nothing is there. And after this build up, the Plankton movie also doesn't feel that great. It kind of feels off to watch this movie. The essence of SpongeBob has been dying. There are a lot of videos that explain the downfall of SpongeBob and the change that he had over the years. So I'm not gonna explain this. But this new kind of SpongeBob in the first two movies just feels awful. But I think that they are going in a positive direction with the Plankton movie. And I hope that the Pirate movie is at least as decent as this one. I just hope that they are not once again just taking one random joke, stretch it out to a 1.5 hour movie.